So I'm working with my PC today. Um, I picked up some photos from Color Services yesterday here. So you can see 7/14 is when I dropped it off. Now, I've already brought these photos from the USB drive onto my spinning disk that's internal in my computer that I use as sort of a scratch disk. And I like to have an import folder that I designate to import everything into originally before I bring it into Bridge to make selections and decide what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to throw away. So right away, you're already eliminating sort of the junk photos or the photos that are replicas. You pick out the ones that you want to hold on to, whether however much you want to hold on to them. So they're located now on my import folder. Exit out of here. Go ahead and open up Bridge. Now on a Mac, you can actually drag the files right to the Bridge icon and it'll open it up here. I don't know if through different updates that's changed, but I go to this PC and wherever my import folder is, I go to it, start here, and these are some photos that I took, I think, on a friend's birthday, maybe at the beach. So the first thing I do is I go through, and by hitting spacebar, I go into full screen mode. And that allows me to rate things by just hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can now see that I hit 5. That is a 5-star rating. Now already we're able to select things based off of that. So as I go through these photos, great, me being an idiot, me in a bar, whatever, right? So I'll go through and I'll choose which ones I want to keep. Generally with personal stuff like this, I keep all of it. The files are small, it's memories. But for the sake of teaching, I'm going to pause the recording here. I'm going to make some selections and kind of show you what that looks like as I do it. So again, spacebar, full screen, and you can go 1 star, 2 star. You see that in the bottom left corner showing up. I usually don't do things 5-star unless they are photos that I want to print or I really am sure that it's my best work. This is a 1-star photo. I want to keep it because it's with one of my good friends. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, make my selections, and then I'm going to show you what I do next from Bridge. I am working in the film strip. You can go to Essentials, which gives you some different kind of options and information as to what color profile you're using or what color profile the photo is, the dimensions, size. I've gone through, I've starred all of them. I'm keeping all of these because, again, they're personal and I want to keep them. Some of them are rated as 2. That, they're photos that are maybe a little bit more unique, whatever. I'm going to go Control A. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my Lightroom catalog. Now, this is something that I'll help you set up. But I always like to open my catalog from the actual catalog file. I have it back up to OneDrive, so it's in the cloud. This is a very important piece of data because it maps out where everything goes and is in Lightroom. Okay, so I'm in now catalog. And all photographs, right? So I have about 67,000. And I want to go ahead and bring in these photos that have yet to be cataloged. Command A, select all of them. I want to bring in, again, ratings over here. If there were more photos that I was dealing with, there would be ones that I wouldn't star, they wouldn't be included. So, just for example's sake, I'm kind of doing this. Drag and drop into Lightroom in your library. So you can see down here where basically you're directing it to go. And you want to have it set to copy up here. And so, with this, I'm going to bring it into, these are folders that I've set up over time. I have basically what is a master folder, images, right? And through that, I have a whole bunch of different things, music, personal. So this is going to be in personal. You can get as specific as you want folder wise. I tend to be more folders and less specific. I go into personal and I make a folder. Okay, this is from summer 2022, 35 millimeter film on so-and-so's birthday, right? Now, keywords. I like to keyword things as a group generally, unless I'm doing something important. And I want to do that individually. I can get into that on a separate date, but just to give you an idea, this is all 35 millimeter film or color film, more specifically. What's awesome is you input a keyword once, Lightroom remembers it as long as you keep your settings with your Lightroom catalog, keep all that information so you don't have to type all these different things. You also have the ability to build smart previews, which I do because it allows for a little bit faster editing. You can also rename files here, batch rename, and that allows you to do a template and extensions, which I don't do that because I like to have the original file names if I want to go back and track down where the source originally came from. Back to keywording. I tend to be, with personal stuff, somewhat vague. I like to include people's names. In this, I have a couple of my friends, Perry, Michael, whatever. And I'll just include their names in all of them because they were there. And it gives me just a general thing. If I look up Perry in my Lightroom catalog, photos of Perry will pop up. There will be some other people, but it'll be events that Perry was there. So I'm going to go ahead and just see if there's a folder that I'd like to put it in. Film, that's what I'm looking for. And then I put it into a subfolder. You can narrow things down both with keywords and subfolders. And, I'm able to go back, as I'll show you, and all of my photos from my trip to Europe are all in one folder. My hunting trip in 2018, they're all in one folder. And it just, you start to develop things like all my photos from this summer, film photos at least, are in one folder. So then I'm going to go ahead and click import. Boom. It does its thing. And essentially now I have these files ready to be edited. Now you can also import everything into Lightroom and rate it here by just clicking the number, set rating to 1 star. You can also color as you go through 6, 7, 8, 9, I believe 0. You get labels, so blue or green. So you have different tools again to start to differentiate what you want to keep and what's what. And if you're making a collection, there's also a tool down here that's collection. So when I've made portfolios or I've gone through things, you're able to just drag and bring them over there. And that doesn't move where the file is located. Basically what I just did, and I'll show you this, is I copied those photos from this hard drive in my import folder to my server. So in my server, I have this images folder. And you can see here that all of the folders that are main folders. Now, if I were to open them up, they would show up, are there on my server. So really all you're doing is, by using this catalog, you're moving stuff into folders in an organized way and in a way that you can then understand not only where they are, but navigate them with the software that is built to handle images. I don't know how to better word that. But so these folders, these files are now here. They're safe. They're on my server. I can edit them. If I want to go into Photoshop, do edit in Adobe Photoshop, edit a copy, edit original. I usually would recommend editing a copy so you don't mess with the original file. That'll go ahead and open up Photoshop. And what's awesome here is that as you work in Photoshop, which I know you mentioned you use, it then when you do save, it saves it back to your Lightroom catalog as a copy or as the original. And so you can actually save different versions in Lightroom, and you're keeping your stuff organized, you're keeping your stuff keyworded, and the metadata is all there. Now, it will still show up if you were to just open Photoshop after editing it, just like you would if you open it from your desktop. But let's see here, if I do Command J, do a new layer and draw on this, whatever, just to kind of show you what's going on here, and I do save. I exit out of Photoshop. I now have that file saved as a Photoshop file right here that I can then want to go back and edit it again. Edit in Adobe Photoshop, Bridge and Lightroom in Photoshop together. And you have a whole workflow then that's tied in to a cohesive catalog. That's really the strength here. And then you can go here and choose attribute and organize by rating. So if you want only 5-star photos, so now I can go through here and basically this is pretty close to what my portfolio should consist of ideally. And there's a couple more things that I'll go over here. Preferences, presets. You want to store presets with this catalog. External editing. I like to keep my file formats as Photoshop and my resolution at 300. Now, additional editing, you can keep it at TIFF, color space. I use Adobe RGB because I don't see a need to use ProPhoto. You can do that if you'd like to. One thing, backing up your catalog is important. So I have it set to do every time Lightroom exits, just to be safe. I back up to my server. Now I do back up to different locations at times. You can choose and say I want to have a copy on this hard drive. I have a folder that I sometimes back up to here. Select folder. Back up. It'll test the integrity, which I don't really know what that means. Optimizing is good to do as you get a larger catalog, and you can do that up here somewhere. But every time you close down, ideally you want to back it up. And this just gives you peace of mind that if you accidentally delete your catalog file, you have a backup from the last time you closed the app. Okay, so you can see as I open it back up, my server's working to get it all loaded up along with my computer here. You can see the Ethernet. What it's transferring. So it's transferring data back and forth, communicating with the server and the disk through using the CPU. Back to Lightroom. Keywording. Area, Europe trip, March 2018, Paris. Boom. Now, what's cool is they have suggestions. So as you continue to do things, this is a black and white photo. Not scan it. I did not. It's not film. It is a city, so I can add that. And that allows you to add keywords in there. Now I have other, keywords that I've used over the years and apply copyright right to it. And that will stick with it when you export it. So if I go ahead and export this subfolder, include all metadata. And this is another awesome part about Lightroom. So you can batch export. So if I wanted to export, say, everything that I've shot in Paris with all my metadata included and maybe a watermark, you can do that and it'll apply it to all of them. So export, great. Boom. All right, so I think that's about it. But that gives you an idea of what my catalog looks like. I know it was a little bit all over the place. Again, the big thing is having that main folder, which in my case stems from TS main. That's the old hard drive that I originally started this catalog on. But images is where all of my images sit. And then I have subfolders that allow me to sort of keep things organized. Everything that I worked at while I was at Santa Monica College is in my Photoshop 1 folder. And all these edits that I did in Photoshop are there. You can see that this is the original. We're here. And this was the retouch version. But I hope this gives you just a general idea of how I go about things. And of course, starting from scratch, we can pick and choose how you want to go about doing this for yourself. It's one of those things that it's always a work in progress for me, at least. And I continue to import things from high school or from years before I took class to learn how to do this. And it continues to grow. So with my current stuff, my past stuff, I'm able to bring it in. That's it.